Kia ora koutou, nau mai, haere mai ki te hui nei. Ka timata I te hui nei, hei karakia mā tātou. Tūtua mai I runga, tūtua mai I raro, tūtua mai I roto, tūtua mai I waho. Kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tāi ki e. Kia ora te whānau, nau mai, haere mai ki te hui. He mihi nui, he mihi mahana, kia koutou katoa. Ko wai tēnei, ko tararua te maunga, ko ruamahanga ta awa, ko take timu te waka, ko Ngāti Kahanunu ki Wairarapa, me Rangitāne, me Ngāti Ira ōku iwi, ko papa wai tōku marae, ko Dale Corlett tōku ingoa. Kia ora, hui hui mai tātou. So my name is Dale Corlett. I'm the Executive Director here at Script to Screen. Just want to welcome you all to this hui this evening. Thank you for joining us. I think there's over 100 already in the hui, and we've got a few more coming in at the moment. So it's great to have you all on this amazing opportunity to hear about writing compelling applications. So we're really excited to present this. This is presented by Script to Screen in partnership with PISA and with Ngā Aho Whakaari. So we want to thank our partners for joining us on this kaupapa. And also I want to acknowledge the funder of this hui is Te Tumu Whakaata Taonga, the New Zealand Film Commission. So a big mihi to the Film Commission for their support in this mahi and all the mahi that we do. Ngā mihi nanui. So although I'm hosting this hui tonight, I'm not going to talk much because we've got much more important people that you want to hear from. So we've got amazing guests that are going to talk to you tonight about writing compelling applications. So we're going to start with these three guests, Karin, Ange, and Nua, and I'm going to get them to introduce themselves in a moment and then give their insight, their expertise, and their perspectives on writing great applications and how to be successful when writing applications. But in the last 25 minutes or so, we're going to look at questions, and they could be towards our three guests, asking them questions about the specifics they talk about, or it could be for any of the funders that are on the call, because we've got three organizations on the call. We're very fortunate to have them on the call, and we've got individuals from those organizations. So we're just going to start actually by getting those people to wave to you so you know who you're talking to. So we're going to start with the organisations first. So we've got Te Tumu Whakaata Taonga, the New Zealand Film Commission. We've got Johanna Smith, there she is, waving away. And we've got my tuahine, Te o Kaharangi Waka. She's there somewhere, waving away, I think. Oh, no, her camera. Oh, she is, she's waving. She's electronically waving. And then we've got from Te Māngai Pāho, we've got Junia Silbury, there she is. And we've got from Irirangi Te Motu, we've got Hepiri Mita. And there's Hepiri, there he is there. So now you know who you're talking to from the funders' point of view. So think about all your questions you might have for the funders in the second half. But now we're going to jump into the real highlight of tonight, which is our three amazing speakers that we've got lined up for you. So they are Karin Williams, Angela Cudd, and Nua Finau. And we're going to start with Karin, who's going to give you her insights into writing compelling applications. So over to you, Karin.
Kia ora ana koutou katoa, tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui. Really great. Welcome to all the attendees. Really great to see you all here, and hopefully we'll have some hot tips for you. I think they've asked me to speak today because I have been both an applicant who has been turned down many times, but also successful with some applications. I've been a funder at the New Zealand Film Commission, and I am an assessor. I assess for a range of organisations, funding applications. So in my time, I've seen literally thousands of funding applications. Yes, thousands. I've read thousands of them. And so I was thinking today about what across all those thousands of applications makes a really compelling application. And I think that the really important thing is an original idea, is having an idea, a concept, a proposal for something that we haven't seen before. And sometimes themes arise, and people are often sending in applications about sort of similar projects. Earlier this year, I assessed for Pacific Islanders in Communications, which is a funder out of Hawaii for the American Public Television System. There were 21 applications for their media fund, and out of that, all of them, every single one, was either about climate change, cultural preservation, or cultural identity. So all very much hitting similar themes. So then it becomes a matter of thinking about, well, how am I getting an original spin on that typical theme? You know, have I got an individual, a character who's really great? Am I telling a story that hasn't been told before? So how do you know whether your idea is original or not? Because you might be sitting there, as you all are, in your office or your bedroom or the library going, I've got this great and brilliant idea. How can you assess the originality of it? I think here is where you need to do some research. If you're thinking about applying for a specific fund, then go and have a look at what that funder has funded in the past and what kinds of projects they're currently screening or streaming or promoting. Also take a look at what's in festivals, what's on air, comparable titles, and have a look to see how yours measure up. You know, is it an original, authentic idea, or has it been done before? People often ask, what does the funder want? And I think we should flip that idea. And rather than asking what the funder wants, ask what it is that I want. How does this project meet my personal and career goals? How does it fit my slate? Is this the right partner for my project? So when you're thinking about the big picture, rather than focusing on your specific project and the specific fund, be having a look about how it fits into the big picture. So that means really assessing whether the fund or the funder is relevant to your project. So, for example, if I'm a new filmmaker, I probably wouldn't be applying to, say, the New Zealand Film Commission's EDF or Catalyst or any of the on air rounds. And I know that the agency guys will talk about this later. But if I was a new filmmaker, I might be looking at, would I apply to Day One or to loading docs or to seed grants, projects that are specifically set up for new and emerging filmmakers? So you want to really be sure that your goals and the fund's goals align to your career and your business expectations and to your project. I had a look today at some of the rates of funding, the success rates, if you will, because we all know that these are extremely competitive. Public funds or soft money are very, very competitive. For example, this year, the Kopereho Fresh Shorts Fund, which was funded by the New Zealand Film Commission and supported by or run by Script to Screen, they had 119 applications for three projects, 3 short films. That's a 2.5% success rate. New Zealand Writers Guild Kōpere Ake Series Development Fund, 196 applications for 2 spots. That's 1%. The PIC Media Fund, Pacific Islanders and Communications Fund that I talked about earlier, 21 applications and 3 funded, so a higher success rate at 14%, and there were 3 New Zealand applications in there as well. So I always say that applying for a fund is like sitting exams, and you really need to be getting an A on your exams. You have got to be in that top 5 to 10%. How do you do that? Well, like any exam, you do your homework. You figure out whether your project is a fit for the fund. You figure out how competitive it is. Is it really realistic for me to be applying for this fund? And is there a different financing strategy? Do I want to think about other ways of getting my film funded? Are there philanthropic grants, community grants, crowdfunding, things like that? So I think that what I'd really like to say to all our folks, all our 132 attendees today is, we know that it's really competitive, and we know that it's challenging to get funded. So what I want to say is, don't be discouraged and don't take it personally if you're not the 1% or the 2%. It's when you start out, it's unlikely that you're going to get funded. It's a learning experience. And like you know, unlike school exams, you don't know who else is in the funding pool with you. So learn what you can, get feedback, and figure out what you can do better. And so that would be what I think about kind of the big picture of funding. And I know that Angela and Nua are going to talk about some more specifics about your applications.
Kia ora, Karin. That's amazing. Thank you very much. And yes, amazing insights and huge amount of experience from Karin. So thank you for that. So I got some key takeouts from that. Got to have an original idea. You got to do your research. You've got to, you know, aim to be in that 5 to 10%, that top 5 to 10%. Once again, do your homework on the funds, know what funds you're going for and why, and go for the right funds, and also diversify your plan. So come up with a plan, and maybe it's not this fund, maybe there's other ways in which you can finance your project at different levels. And keep faith, keep going, and surround yourself with good people who can give you good feedback at every stage of the process. Great. Excellent. Thank you, Karin. That's amazing. Kia ora. Okay, we're going to go over to Ange now. Over to Angela Cudd. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora tātou. He uri tēnei no Ngāti Porou te whānau Panui Ngāti Waihuki, ko Angela Cudd tōku ingoa. My name's Ange. I'm from the coast. I was born and raised in Gizzy, and I've lived all around the motu, but I'm in Tāmaki at the moment, and really excited to be here. Dale and Script to Screen, thank you so much for putting this on. But yeah, let me crack into it. So we all know that there's not endless amounts of money. So rejection is kind of par for the course. We know that. There's lots of things we can't control. We can't control how much funds there are. We can't control who else is submitting. Just so many things we can't control. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that we can control. I'm going to talk about the unsexy stuff. This is probably not going to be like super inspiring, but this is the stuff that I love, because because you don't need anything special for this stuff. So I'm going to give you 4 things that will help with applications. So the first thing is equip yourself with information. So doing the things that I'm about to suggest, they don't require experience. They don't require any special skills. They only require you to be willing to do the work, to be consistent, and to know how to read. Cool. So equip yourself with information, make friends, and build your own community. The first thing I would suggest, sign up to all of the funder newsletters. Sign up to all of the industry organization newsletters. There's a whole bunch of information out there. Show Tools has a newsletter. WIFT, Sparta, Na'aho Whakaari. If you're not following these organizations on social media, if you're not signed up to their newsletter, then that would be the first thing I would suggest to do. Do that, and then engage with the content that they send you. Read the newsletters and try and keep up to date. The second thing I would encourage you to do is follow other production companies. Look for people who are inspiring to you. Like Nua, for me, is a perfect example. I follow his production company, and I keep up with what he's doing, where he is around the world, because he's often receiving awards and all that jazz. I can see him, he hates that I'm saying this, but it's true. I think you should do that. Because you need to be inspired, you need to know what's going on. And it's really, I think creativity begets creativity. So yeah, easy thing to do. And then the last thing, and I'm an introvert, so I really struggle with this, but just do it. Just trust me. Go to the industry events. Go and talk to people. Even if at the start you go and you stand in the corner and you're just present, just go do that. Cool. The next thing I would say is read some more. Go onto the funder website, read. They put all the information there, what their aims are, what their strategies are for a set period of time. Everything that they use to help make their decisions, not everything, but a lot of things, is on the websites. So if you haven't gone onto a funder website, clicked on the menu and gone through every page, take time to do that. This is very 101 stuff. So if you already know this, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Read RFPs. When RFPs come out, take the time to read that. I'll go faster. Read the research. If you guys have heard of where the audiences are at, there's research that's released intermittently. Read it all. Cool. The next thing I would suggest is run a pitching schedule. I have a slate schedule that I put in place every year, and it's I think it's actually sexy. It's a sexy Excel document that has all the funder dates, it has school holidays, and then it has my slate of projects and the development for each project. And what that does is that basically gives me an overview of where I'm going to spend my time for the year. Oh, the other thing that I do that's really helpful is I add all the funder deadlines to my Google Calendar. That's really helpful because I get a warning digitally. Everyone's on their phone always. So I would definitely suggest doing that. The next thing I would suggest is to start early. Pitching takes time. Bad pitching takes time. So good pitching takes even more time. Start early. Keep a checklist. So funders will outline exactly what you need to provide. Sometimes they'll even outline the order that you need to provide it in. Just create a checklist and enlist help. Assign the task to the people in your creative team and then monitor it. This is all unsexy stuff, I know, but it's useful and it's all things that you can control. So when it's hard and you're like creatively like, this is not good enough, da 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 da, which will happen, go spend like an hour doing this stuff. And because you get an outcome, it will feel good doing it. Okay. The next thing I would suggest is, this took me a while to figure out. So if you already know it, you're doing good. But pitching documents are creative, but they're also business documents. And I think that we spend a lot of time developing the creative side and not enough time developing the business side. And I would say that that is an area that I'm working on at the moment. But spend as much time on your business case as you do on your creative case. One of the aspects that gets talked about a lot when it comes to the business case is to know your audience. We already know that. I won't really talk about that. What I will talk about is strategic partnership and how having strong people as part of a pitch will help you. Hep, why are you laughing? I see you laughing. Is helpful. I can speak to that first person. A lot of my career has been working for and with strategic partners. And I think that's another reason why going out to guild events is important, why creating your community is important, because those partnerships are often like marriages. My last 2 points were improve yourself and find the joy and don't give up. Pitching is super hard. You get rejected and you feel sad about it, but it's also the life we chose. So where you can, reward yourself, find joy, and keep going. And that's it from me.
Kia ora. Thank you, Ange. Thank you so much. So find the joy and keep going. I love that whakatauki at the end. That's great. That's exactly what we should be doing. Absolutely. And also, picked up a lot of things, but what you did beautifully, I thought, was demystify the whole process. So, maybe not the whole process, but a big part of it. And I love the fact that you're giving us really tangible things where we can control things. So we can build networks. We can do our research. We can read and more read. We can do the research. We can look at what the funders are wanting, whatever fund it is. We can make friends. Two things. One, RFPs. So that's a request for proposals. I think there's a question come through on that. So I just want to answer that now. And two, I want to speak to the introverts or to the people who don't feel comfortable networking. I don't feel comfortable either. One thing is, look out for people like Ange, look out for people like myself and organizations, or the funders who are on the calls at the moment, because one of our roles, a big part of our role, is the connecting of other people. And so if you're at an event and Script to Screen people are there, or the funders like the Film Commission, New Zealand Air, Te Māngai Pāho are there, go and have a chat to them, because they will be really good at connecting you up. One, they know a lot of people, and two, that's one of their roles is to help guide people and connect them. And they're more than happy to do it. So see us as a little safety net, because it is pretty daunting, especially those first few events you go to. Yeah, well done. And yeah, just building your teams are absolutely key. So thank you, Ange. That was amazing. Thank you very much. So we're going to hand over now to Nua, who I know Ange has already fangirled over, but here is Nua to present his conversation. Kia ora.
Hey, what's up? Malo ta lava hoi mo kainga. Kia ora te whānau. Yep, my name's Nua. Born and bred in the shade, under the shade of Whitireia in the beautiful city of Porirua. And I get my superpowers from the villages of Nuku Nuku and Holonga in the beautiful kingdom of Tonga. But I'm here in the 828 now in Avondale with a beautiful wife and kids, Maongan, half Tongan and half Ngāti Kahungunu. So yeah, and now I'm in the game now for what, 21 years now. So it's been a long time. And I guess what Karin and Ange touched on with the nose, coming from an acting background, you get used to nose. And then when you're in the pitching and writing these proposals, you got to get used to them even more, but I think for me with acting and the nose, what was good is it prepared me that it wasn't really a reflection of my work or myself or my creative. Sometimes what you'll always get from the funders is, oh, it was just a very competitive round and we could only fund this many projects. But I guess one of the lessons and one of the blessings actually that I've got is that I've been able to work with some pretty awesome minds in the last couple of years, with my business partner, Tom Hearn, in our company, Te Wake. He's a bit of a beast that's taught me a lot. But I've also been lucky to work with Kathy Neal, Morgan Wadu, Ainsley Gardner, and Georgina Conda. Like, all of those people are pretty mean at what they do. So to be able to ride shotgun and learn from them has been awesome. But also to do, like I did that MAPS course a few years ago, which was mean. And that was, I guess, what Ange was alluding to around building your network and building your village, is the same thing as that I've been watching Ange's career as well. And it's been mean for our little, because I didn't do film school or anything. So I didn't come up with anyone that I've got like a class that I can rock to. That MAPS course was kind of the first time I'd done any of that stuff. But with these applications, it's pretty funny that I'm doing this, because at the moment, my strike rate for this year is 5.5 no's. I'm hoping that I can swing a no to finish off the year on a high. But like I was saying, it's not really a reflection of, I don't take it as a reflection of my work or the creative. It's just a very competitive industry that we're in. And it's kind of what Karin was alluding to. It's a very small bullseye. So kind of what can we do at Te Wake to give us a better chance of our shot hitting? And like, I didn't even go to school, so writing this sort of stuff is like scary, you know. And that was one of the lessons that I would recommend, is not only make your idea unique, but also make sure that you don't fold and like start trying to write what you think the assessors and stuff are gonna want to read. Like, I was helping out a group from South Auckland with their proposal, and it was, I think they used the word squabble. I was like, gee, who the hell from Manurewa uses the word squabble when describing a beef or a fight? Like, come on. Like, you know, so, but that's like the whole what from my corner of the world, you think you need to write like what you think they want to read, or especially if your story's coming from our corner of the world, it's got to sound like and feel like our corner of the world or wherever your story is set. Like if you're trying to write something for someone in bloody New York when it's set in Porirua, it's like, bro, you got to take the assessor and the reader to P-Town, let them feel like they're walking through the creek and what a pork bun with kebab sauce tastes like. Like, you know, you got to use those things that make your script and your idea stand out. And I guess that's what I learned from Kathu and them, which they really encouraged me on Red, White and Brass, was to make sure that my voice was never lost in me overthinking and like, this is what it needs to look like, this is what it needs to sound like, and this is what it needs to feel like. So uniqueness of voice and staying solid to your vision. But also when you get a no, or if before you put your application is like, what can you do to make your application as bulletproof as it can, especially if it's like an interesting idea for a lot of us that have got kind of on the global scale, we're a very niche market, you know, we're not really, we're a drop in the ocean when it comes to our side corner of the world. So making our stories unique and stand out is we got to wrap our projects up with freaking as many shiny pieces as we can. And that goes to Angela's point around networking and everything and attaching those shiny pieces. Like for me, I'd never written anything, so I knew I wasn't going to get Red, White and Brass in as a 5%er, even though I knew it was a unique thing. I'd never written anything. I'd never produced anything. So I was like, dang, how can I get shiny pieces attached? And it was Rachel House who eventually linked me in with Morgan Waru, who eventually got me in with Kathu. And then I got the shiny piece of Taika, which then pushed me from the back of the line up to the front. Because once you got those big dogs of Picky Films on board, then, you know, a few things line up, and then you chuck in your, oh, we're helping bring this next person up, representation and all that jazz around unique stories and new voices and all that. So it's like finding the balance and reading RFPs and seeing how you can align your project with those sorts of things. Recently, with our next series that we just announced in the weekend, we want to do the skateboarding series, but skateboarding's not really a big, you know, that's not really a big thing that's in any RFPs or territories are looking for. But you know, what's in our control is who we can attach to it to make it look better than just a Tom and Noah jam. So then it's like reach out to Keisha Castle Hughes, Vinnie Bennett, those are qualified stars here in New Zealand. Then how can we get international people? And that was a stab in the dark, but we got Tony Hawk on board, who's like skateboarding GOAT. And it just puts ourselves in the best position possible that even if it doesn't get funded, like we know we threw everything at it. And like we're very confident with the package and all of that, but sometimes it just doesn't align. And one thing I wanted to like kind of touch on as well, which has been something that's scary, but also like I don't actually know how to take it, to be honest, but AI is coming up super quick, and all that research and reading that Ange said that would have taken us months to learn, man, AI does that thing in 12 seconds. Like you utilize that in your projects. Like I've got a new, I'll show you, I'll talk through what my new project is and how I used AI for it. Is I was sitting there going, dang, this needs to be a co-production. That's the only way this film's going to ever be made. The film, it needs a big budget. How can I make it a co-production? What put into AI? What territories does New Zealand have film treaties with that have islands in their federation? Like France has Tahiti, because I want to film it in the islands. So then it was like, it listed like 6 islands. And then I wrote, which of these islands have a film studio? And it was like, Spain has a treaty with New Zealand. Canary Islands is a treaty of a territory of Spain. And it was like, dang, what's their rebates? Canary Islands offer a regional tax of 50% rebate. And you're like, boom, that's a shiny piece. Now I can work with that, build a finance plan, and that's part of the business side that Angela's talking about. Because if you can bring the money and then you go to ask someone, it's like, bro, I'm bringing in like our spur plus this 50%. All you need to do is give me 4 mil, I'll give you a $20 million movie. Like, that's where me not going to school and being the street side, I'm a hustler. Like like Master P, Russell Simmons, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, all of those people are the people that I've studied, and their hustling mentality and how they've diversified through their industry. So that's kind of the approach that I've taken to filmmaking, of like trying to, because I'm not a film like nerd. Like I didn't grow up with film. Like John Singleton is my like hero. I haven't even watched like The Godfather or anything like that, you know? But I've watched all of those street classics. So that's what I want to make. I want to make street classics. So when I'm putting my film, my pictures and everything together, I've got to make sure that that voice comes through, and I can still spit game that people understand. It's like, yeah, it's not just a street movie. It's not just a movie about Tongans like hustling their way to the World Cup. There's deeper meanings to it, and there's deeper learnings to it. But I guess I don't really know what I'm saying. My main thing that I want people to know is like, don't take no for an answer. Keep hustling. And when you do get a no, like the Film Commission, New Zealand On Air, like Te Māngai Pāho, they want to help you. Like if you get a no, don't just take the no as for a no. Ring them up, ask for a coffee, learn from what it is. Like they might say, oh, the script just isn't quite strong enough. Or they might say, oh, the director you've got has never done this scale. So then you go back to the drawing board and go, okay, sweet. Who's an experienced person I can get on board to help with this director? Because this guy's got swag. I actually want that person. And then you go shoulder tap and go to these networking things and ask these more experienced people to board your project. And then you go back in and go, now we've got wraparound support around what was our perceived weakness in our package, and we've bolstered that up. Now we're coming in, our story is unique. We've got the backup behind us that we know we can deliver this thing mean. But honestly, man, AI is scary. It's coming. Like we're in a sunset legacy business. Like utilize it. The scary thing is the PMN1 Reo Fund just like closed, and I had 2 people of my mates that had never done their work. One of them is like a cook in the Cook Islands, and one of them works in government. And they both sent me 1-page proposals that they did with AI, and they were really good proposals. I was like, what the hell? What the heck is going on here? So it's a blessing and a curse, like everything in this world. But what AI will never be able to do is it'll never have spirit, it'll never have mana, it'll never have the wairua that we can breathe into our stories with our words. And I guess that's the most important thing, is make sure your words are true and honest and authentic to who you're telling the story about and to you as a creative, because that way, even if it is like, if it gets no, you can still stand 10 toes down. And if it is mean, like, you know, I've always said I couldn't care less if like my films won an Oscar, but I went back to Porirua and they were like, bro, that was dry. The hell was that? That's a fail in my books, you know? Like, I want to make street classics, and I want to make films that my people are proud of. And that's what I need to get across in my proposals and my marketing materials. Because as much as it is the story that I'm selling, it's also me. It's like Tavake, it's me and Tom. It's our swag that we bring to projects. It's our unique brand that we can bring to it. So that's got to come across as well. And that's what will make everyone's right. Once Chief of War drops, Amazon Prime, all of those other streamers are going to come to New Zealand because they're going to want the next. There was Game of Thrones, then there was this, then there was that. They're all going to want the same thing. And as a community, we just got to stay solid and making sure that we don't, like, man, you get offered 15 mil to do something, man, that's going to, you know, they're like just going to say, why don't we just change it then? Don't make it Maui, just make it Mark. You know, you got to stay true, man. So just stay solid. Good things will come our way. Don't give up. Move forward with faith and let God work. I look forward to working with you all. And like Ange said, like if there's any, just reach out. I'm on Insta. I'm on. Oh man, my page is private. I got my kids on that thing. Sorry. But you can get my email off Dale and anyone like that. But yeah, love you all. Wishing you all the best.
Kia ora Nua, that was amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What a journey. So you've talked about the shiny thing. I think you are a pretty shiny thing yourself, young man. But you talked like Ange did around that, the need to build a community and connect with people. You also, at the heart of it, you talked about being true to yourself. You're standing proud within your own community, where you're from, who you stand with and for. And I think that's so important. And somehow, in some bizarre way, you managed to connect with AI and not scare the hell out of me. So that was amazing. But it was great. So, we need to embrace things and also be challenged and challenge things as well in that space. I love the fact that, you are hustling. Absolutely. But what I see you doing, and certainly in that talk, was there's a strategy. There's a strategy, there's a bit of a plan. It may not be all fully formed, but there's always seems to be a plan of what about this, what about this, what about this? And a bit like Ange, giving us control over what we have very little control over. So thank you for that. I hope it was as inspiring for others as it was for me. Ngā mihi nunui e hoa. Excellent. So now we've got 139 people on the call. And we've got quite a few questions coming through. So I'm in charge of scanning these questions. This is all going to go a bit Pete Tong, I think, but we'll give it a go. Some people are asking, can we kind of start with some more general questions first before we jump into specific questions for the funders? So maybe we'll start that way. So, okay, so this is one. What is the best way to find or collect a list of all the funding organizations for a specific theme of a project? So who would like to take this? Any of our funders or our guests? So how can we collect or find a list of all the funding organizations that are available for a certain theme or a certain type of project? Is there any advice out there?
AI, chuck it in ChatGPT. I swear, I kid you not, mate. There's no way I would have found out about Canary Islands regional tax rebates that are available if it wasn't for AI. That would have taken me ages. I would have had to track down someone at the NZFC and then find someone else. You got to double check it though. Don't just go, oh man, that's it. But it cuts so many steps out of the process and narrows you right down. Yeah, man, that's what my advice would be for those kinds of things like that, man. AI just speeds it up.
Whoops, I'm on mute. Great, thank you. That's one option. Throwing to funders, do you have, obviously we've sent out an FAQ. I should have said that before. We've sent out an FAQ to everyone on this call. So these are the funds that we're aware of at the moment. And here's, it breaks down the eligibility criteria, what funders are looking for, not project specific, what they're looking for, because as you'll hear from funders, if you're asking them, they're often not looking for a certain type of project, but they have certain funds that are eligible, that you're eligible for given whatever the funding is focused on. So that FAQ is out there. So that is a really good resource as well, because it gives you some good hyperlinks that you can go straight to their sites, but also puts them all into one document. So if you haven't got that, please mention it in the chat and we'll make sure you have. Okay, I've got...
Sorry, I could just jump in there quick too. In terms of theme, theme is very, very broad. But what is a very good resource, and Angela actually touched on this, is looking at our press releases for things we have funded, and that gives you a brief explanation, at least of the theme or the genre, the type of content that we are supporting or that we have supported in the past. Another one is actually all of the funders have annual reporting documents, and that's just, it'll be a straight up list of everything that we've funded within a year. And it generally has at least the genre of what that thing is and maybe a little bit of information about what those projects are actually about. And that's a great way of, as Karin touched on, making sure that you are presenting a new idea, but it also gives you a gist of the type of things that each funder is focusing on. The tricky thing is it's past funding decisions, so it's not forward facing, and in that vein, yeah, you definitely need to be looking at the RFPs of the funders, or more specifically the RFPs of platforms. So TVNZ, 3, Whakaata Māori, they will release their own RFPs from time to time, and they're much more interested in specific types of content that they're looking to curate for their programming lineups, at least in the television world. So those are some other resources that I would recommend.
Kia ora, Hepati, that's great. Ange, have you got something?
Yeah, I would just add, and again, I'm an introvert, so I feel sorry, I understand, but going to the industry events, particularly the annual hui for most of the funders or the broadcasters, they will give you a general outline of what's to come. So you can really help yourself by going out and talking to people. There's a limit to what they can say, but yeah.
Kia ora. Thank you. So here's a question for the three guests. So what proportion of the proposal, as a writer-director, what proportion would you be expected to write? And how much would the producer kind of create? From their experience, they're often having to write a lot of the proposal, and from a business side, they're kind of winging it, in their words. So they're interested to see what you, in your teams, how you kind of balance that workload between the business side and the creative side of proposals.
You go, Ange.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So in terms of my process with application is I start with a checklist, and to be honest, the director will generally give the script, the director's vision, which is usually tone and style. They give a go at the logline and the synopsis. Writing a logline and synopsis is totally different from writing a script. So I often find that the logline and the synopsis is usually tweaked at my end and then given back to the director or the writer to say, oh, yeah, that's cool, or no, like I want to change it, make these changes. But I would say apart from that, most everything else usually comes from the producer. Yeah.
Noah, did you have something to add? Or
No, yeah, I'm with Ange. Most of it, that because with us, we generally do most of the interfacing with the funders and really getting into the nitty gritty of what they're after and dissecting the funding round and what they're looking for. So it's all about strategically, like making sure that each section, from tone, world, director's vision, producer's statement, synopsis, that it all kind of aligns to leading to your talking points when you're no doubt hopefully have a filmmakers meeting with the film commission to then just go bang, 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 bang. And it's also a tricky thing as well, which I've learned more recently of. It's important, the ordering of the information when it like especially like when I'm doing stuff internationally that's set in like Tonga, for example. Like I can't just write logline, synopsis, story and carry on. Like I got to tell this person where the hell Tonga is, like, and what Tonga is, like how do you do that in a quick kind of, so thinking of who your reader is going to be, like what funding body you're going to, who's going to be assessing it. And often they'll get like an external, like international assessor and an intern, like a New Zealander. So just making sure that the info is like, oh shucks, would someone from Australia that's never been to Pōrongaho know what the hell a sharing shed is? I don't know. Like, so if your film is set in a sharing shed and you've got like language that's specific to that area, like do you need to put a little glossary of terms at the top of your like proposal or something like that, or if it's in foreign language? But producer will normally, we'd normally write all of it, and because it costs money, you have to do the business affairs side too of doing all of the finance plan and everything like that, which is a real brain buster when you didn't get school C maths.
Got to Noah. There was a question actually, just quickly, Noah, actually they've answered it. No, Karin's answered it. Thank you, Karin. So MAPS, he mentioned a program that he was involved with a number of years ago, and it was the Māori Asian Pacifica producer program run in 2020. So there's a couple of questions here around South Island, or is there, when assessing regional projects, especially the South Island, are there elements that you'd like to see more fleshed out? Are there any consistent weaknesses or strengths to projects that take place out of the big cities? So maybe that's to our funders, actually, to our Film Commission ends it on air or Te Māngai Pāho. If we're seeing projects come from the South Island, are there any things that you think you'd like to advise them on? Are there weaknesses or strengths that you think come from those projects? Who would like to take that one up?
Kia ora tātou. Te o kahurangi tēnei no te tumu whakātataonga, ko te manukura o te tari nei. I think it's really important that if you're looking at things in the South Island, that you've got some context there, that you're actually writing from that perspective. So just as Nua talked about all of the ways in which you make those stories unique, whether it's from a Tongan perspective, whether it's actually in an island or on a specific space, it's the same in terms of the South Island. It may require engagement with iwi, depending on where your locations are, and also the nature of the stories that you are writing, what perspectives those are coming from, if they're Māori characters, for example. It's really just to show again the authenticity of that place and how it is that you've engaged in that before you come in for funding or before you completed your story, that actually is all taken into consideration when you're writing your work.
I think there's the unfortunate you know, I guess reality of the industry is we're in the capitalistic industry, and it's a big question is about cost. And one of the big reasons why a lot of productions are here in Auckland or potentially Wellington to a certain extent is the fact that the logistics is just cheaper. There's more studio space, accommodation, getting people to and from set, all of those factors. It's just simpler. And that's the unfortunate reality. So when you are working in the regions, it's about being clever and about making the logistical aspect of your production warrant the additional cost. And the thing about the regions is at least in New Zealand and Airs, the way we assess is we do place value on regionalism and representation of Aotearoa's regions. But yes, it can cost a little bit more, and that's something that you need to factor into it and have those that rationale maybe spoken to in the application.
Kia ora Dale, I'm just going to jump in here too. Tātou ko Junia tōku ingoa no Te Māngai Pāho ahau. Just from a Te Māngai Pāho specific perspective around applications in general, but just going on what Whaia Te o Kahurangi said about being genuine and possibly needing connections with iwi. We have a part in our criteria where you need a potiaki reo, or sometimes, and in some cases, a potiaki tikanga. So going into any regional iwi, hapu, marae setting, the best way forward is to get a person from that iwi, from that hapu, from that marae, so that you're telling the funder that you have done your research and you're telling the funder that you do have the backing and the support of that iwi specifically. Koira no ho tāku.
Kia ora, ngā mihi.
Can I also just add there, Dale, is that there are also regional film offices. So just supporting what Hepari's saying, is that if you are looking at regions, whether it's in the South Island or other places around Aotearoa, there are regional film offices that are available that can help you. If you're thinking about looking for space, about looking for other ways in which you can make your production work, there's also the different universities and some of the councils that have screen arms or film arms to that, particularly when you're looking at permits. And currently Share the Knowledge are looking at a program where they've got actually specific work around one of their productions and looking at interns and training alongside one of their productions called Holy Days in the South Island. So it's really, I think, just can't reinforce more around keeping in touch on newsletters with the guilds and making sure that you're aware of everything that's happening, because you might find that there's another way that can actually help you achieve your goal for your production.
Kia ora. So a couple of questions around producers now. One is, well, this is around doing the budget when the producer's not on the project, so knowing how to do that. But then there's a follow-up question, which is around approaching producers, before you go into funding bodies. So what do you think is the best way to approach potential collaborators like producers or other people for your network? One page is a good idea, series Bible, obviously person working in TV. So from the producers on the call, how would we approach, how do you like to be approached?
I can take me somewhere to eat. That's how I like to be. Take me for food, and I will be very, very open to a kōrero. No, but seriously, I think if you flick most people an email and they have the capacity, they will give you half an hour or an hour for a coffee to talk to you. What I think is useful if you do that is to know clearly what you want from it, and to have more than just an idea. So I will get approached by people and have cups of teas with them, and they have the seed of an idea, and it's very hard to do anything with that. In order to kind of take it to the next stage, it needs to be kind of a script or a series, episodic synopsis, something that's more tangible. And then just know exactly what you want. Do you want an EP? Do you want a producer? Do you just want someone to give you ideas on what you can do next? Yeah, but food, seriously.
I think as well as understanding like your film and who the producers are, like in their what films have they made and what's in the wheelhouse? Is it in the wheelhouse of what you're doing? Like with me and Red, White and Brass, I started pretty much with just Islanders, but there weren't any that were doing the kind of films that I wanted it to be. Like the original like concept for Red, White and Brass was for it to be like Friday, like pretty much. That's like three boys they have to go to church, like my life. And there wasn't really that in Pacific. Not even Tongan, like this is, and it's not really like, it's not really the kind of film that like a Tusi Tamasese would make, so I wouldn't go to him. And then it's not really like Fresh and Tiki Lounge, they do more TV, so then it was like, well, Picky Films is the home run, so let's shoot for the moon and hopefully land in the stars. But luckily Rachel House hooked it up. But I think that's it, as well as understanding like your project, and then is that producer like the right person? Like just because I'm Tongan, I get a lot of Tongan filmmakers like coming up to me, but like I don't really do art house stuff. So I'm like, man, it's not really my swag. Like, so I won't really be able to add value to it. But then I'm happy to stay involved for a Tongan element, but you should give this person a ring, because they're like experts in that field. So I think just being prepared to go out and do your research on the filmmaker, on the producer slates, and what their kind of brand is, and if it aligns with what your project is.
Great. Kia ora nua. I'm aware we're running out of time here, and we've got through a few of the questions. I know there've been some of the questions have been answered online rather than in verbally, which is great. If there's anything outstanding, we can obviously follow up after this hui with follow-up from the funders, from producers, or from ourselves. I thought, because we've got the last few minutes of this hui, I thought it might be nice to throw it to the funding organisations. And if you've got anything to say that, encouraging, uplifting kind of kōrero for our amazing guests, to keep them, as we've kind of, one of the tenors of tonight is to keep going, to keep on going. So just to throw it over to the funders to say a few words to finish with, and then we'll wrap it up. So who would like to go first?
Oh, kia ora, I'll jump in. Kia ora, ko Joe tōku ingoa. I'm with Te Tumu Whakata Taonga. I just want to tautoko everything that's been asked, and also Nua and Angela and Karin, just awesome. We're here to help and we want you to succeed. So I know sometimes it can feel, I've definitely been in this position, in past years, where it feels impossible to make that approach, impossible to make contact by email or make the call. Get in touch, just get in touch. Go on the websites, like Angela was saying, basically, just consume everything you possibly can with the information, because there is actually a lot of information out there. and also join the guilds and the screen orgs. You guys from the South Island, there's been a few questions. There's amazing screen organisations. There's the guilds are constantly offering courses, talks, contact engagement throughout the motu. So yeah, and resilience, go for it.
Joe, thank you.
If I can just add too, in terms of a lot of the questions, we've actually got some Meet the Filmmakers and Meet the Film Commission hui happening shortly. So Auckland is the 2nd of October at our Auckland office in Maidstone Street. This will be coming out in the newsletter, which if you go to our link that I've put in the chat, and thank you Monique for extending it further, you'll see these coming up. So that's Auckland, 2nd of October, 9:30 to 12:30. Wellington, 9th of October, 9:30 to 12:30 at our NZFC Wellington office. Christchurch, 8th of October, 10 to 1. And there's also an online regional producers hui on the 3rd of October from 5:30 to 7:30. So that's a great way to sort of maybe start some of those further conversations, but also you can email us. And also thanks to Script to Screen, thanks Dale, Ehua. You can also ask actually Dale, because he's also been at the Film Commission. He's very much aware of all of those other areas. So if for any reason you can't quite catch us, then I'm sure Dale will be able to help. So tēnā koutou, ngā mihi.
Kia ora, who would like to go next?
I'll go. Kia ora tātou. Long story short, we're here to help. And if you don't have anyone's email addresses from Te Māngai Pāho, you're more than welcome to email our support inbox. So that's just support@tmp.govt.nz. It's on our website as well. You'll find our funding calendar on our website. And unfortunately, we're nearing the end of our funding rounds at the moment. However, just a quick overview of our rounds. We have targeted rounds and general rounds. So general rounds, basically for anything other than our targeted rounds, which are tamariki rangatahi, news and current affairs, and special projects. And there'll be more information on our website about all of those rounds. We're not looking to change them dramatically next year. So what you see on our funding calendar this year will most likely be there for 25-26 financial year as well. Other than that, good luck and awesome. I hope to see your faces one day at one of the industry events that Angela was talking about.
Kia ora hoa, ngā mihi, Epiri.
Yeah, no, we're in a very similar situation, New Zealand On Air, to Te Māngai Pāho, in that we've got one more funding round for this financial year. We will have an applicant info session on that December 11th. Prior to that, you really want to start, if you are serious about NZ On Air funding support, is start getting your relationships with platforms, you know, your TVNZs, your Threes, your spin-offs, your Pakata Maoris, your Skies, you know, your whatevers, to make sure that your application is eligible. And I fully recommend, even if you haven't achieved that by the 11th of December, to pop along anyway if you are interested in our funding. And the other thing is, so I guess more of a personal note, and just in regard to providing inspiration. And I don't know if this is actually inspirational, but the nature of this industry is that when you have success, it is very, very public. But the truth of it is that that's just the tip of the iceberg. And for every successful proposal and for every successful project that you have, 70% of that is below the surface. And that's a lot of rejection, unfortunately, and a lot of time and emotion invested in dead ends. That is the reality of our industry. But we celebrate the successes. We celebrate the successes because that is what is visible. But just know that those successes are built on a foundation of effort and of rejection, and that it's you know, the perseverance is what sees those successes through. To overcome all of those things is what gets you in that part of the iceberg that pokes out of the water. And that's where we all want to be. And we're here to help you get to that.
Kia ora, very inspiring, Hepati. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I just want to say thank you for joining us again. Part of this, the kaupapa of this hui was to break down barriers. That's certainly what we try and do at Script to Screen. And so thank you to the funders. Thank you to our three esteemed guests for coming on this journey with us and providing such valuable information for our community. We really do value it. We've recorded it so it can be an ongoing resource for the industry going forward, so it can get to more people. So thank you again for your contribution. So yeah, to all our funders, our amazing guests, thank you very much. Nā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa, ki o whakaaro, me te mātauranga, me te rangatiratanga hoki. Tēnei te mihi, e hoa mā. So kei te mihi ki a koutou katoa, hei whakakapi aku kōrero, hei karakia whakamutunga. Kia taunā manakitanga a te mengaro, ki runga, ki tēnā o tātou. Kia mahia te hua mā kihi, kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha, toi te reo Māori. Kia tūturu whakamaua, kia tīna, hui e, tai ki e. Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Thank you and have a great night. Ngā mihi.